Is this thing recording? It looks like it is. Hello. Well, welcome again to another video diary. How am I gonna start this one? There's like a lot I want to try to go through, but I'm not entirely certain how to even start. Well, first things first, I will say this much: I'm not high right now. I love how this is kind of like a sort of metric that I have to follow along to ensure that I'm showing myself I'm making improvement, I'm making progress. Yes, don't get me wrong, there's gonna be moments in time where I am going to be high, but I'm trying to focus on being a lot less high because it feels like a sense of reliability to these things, and I really don't want to be relying on being high. So sometimes it can be hard too because there's influences all around me that may encourage me to be high as well. Not necessarily saying that they tell me to be high, but it almost feels like if you're not high, then you're just a boring person. But I've also come to accept the fact that sometimes just being there and watching people as they all act high or drunk or what have you is always a lot of fun in its own right. And of course, don't get me wrong, I like to join them every now and then, but I want to make sure I be as moderate as possible these days. So A, I don't find a dependability upon it all, and B, I make sure that I be responsible for myself, like with my job and of course my community and everything in between. I feel like I can say some of the best things ever when I'm high, but sometimes I also have problems where I just get so scatterbrained and I get so emotional into it that it causes problems and it causes other dilemmas and circumstances. Like, for example, with the charity live stream, I was high during that. I admitted to that, I think, the day before that. And if it wasn't evident, then I'm usually like a lot more crazy, perky, kooky, all this kind of stuff when it comes to those kind of moments. You probably can distinguish it because typically I am indeed a lot more animated. But that's not necessarily saying that I can't do that if I'm sober as well. If I have a great opportunity to be able to just, dance around, vibe, and have fun, or if my energy's feeling really good, then I will still provide the same effort that I do when I'm high. So, I don't necessarily need it to do it. It just makes things just a tiny bit easier. But I will say one of the things that I'm proud of is saying that it's only getting easier, like it was like being high is like this kind of level, and then being sober was like this kind of level, but now like the gap is slowly closing. And don't get me wrong, there's senses of like nervousness that I have where I'm just like, oh, I'm not going to provide a good performance, or I'm not going to be really good at what I say because I'm not high. But thankfully I'm starting to actually kind of get over those thoughts and feelings, and I need to because I don't want to like sit here and depend on this stuff. I want to be able to live stream whenever I want and be like, hey guys, what's up? Not be like, oh wait, I gotta take a gummy first and then I gotta be on live stream. It becomes like an it you I get inadvertently dependent upon it, and I really don't want to be dependent upon being high. Yes, it's a very enjoyable and relaxing feeling, and don't get me wrong, please make sure you do it only when you're of age. But I will tell you this right now: if when you have the opportunity to do it again and again and again and again, eventually the beauty of it just wears off. It really becomes like you know, I'll say it like this. I remember one time when I would just get high so much, like basically almost every other day. When I finally moved out of my parents' house, I was like, yeah, I can be high whenever I want, and this is so great. It feels so good. I love it. The freedom, liberation, all this kind of stuff, all this cool stuff. Where's my hands? Where have my hands gone? My hands have not come back yet. Come on, hand, come here. Get back over here. It's back. But there is a sense of like liberation behind all of it. You're like, wow, I can be high whenever I want and not have to worry about my parents, judging me or ultimately having any consequences behind the matter. Well, then you start to come to realize that, oh, my eyes are always so dry, or oh, I'm always so tired, or oh, I can't really do this, I can't really do that. Like driving while high is a very risky thing to do. If you do it, you run the risk of getting pulled over, and if they decide to take some sort of sobriety test on you or something, you got a DUI. It's no different than being drunk. And especially in Florida now more than ever, they are cracking down on people who get high and drive. So that's why I myself personally have definitely focused on being high a lot less, especially if I know I'm bound to drive. If I'm high, I don't take the chance because it just takes one pullover. And it doesn't even have to be anything related to like being pulled over for being high or like going a speed limit or whatever, someone could just crash into you, and you have to go, if you go talk to this person and try to exchange information or get a deputy out there, it doesn't matter if you're the one not at fault. They're still gonna look at you and be like, yeah, you're high, so you're automatically at fault. There's a lot of dangers and a lot of risks of just being high out in public space. If you're gonna enjoy a high, you have to enjoy it at home, and you got to make sure you do it responsibly too. Like, if you have a community that expects upon you, or if you have a job that expects upon you as well, then you can't exactly just be high all the time. It's not that it can take a lot out of you, and it can take a lot away from you. So I feel like I took this segment in particular to remind myself that I shouldn't be high, and instead I can decide to take caffeine. Now, mind you, with the caffeine part, I try to make sure I also be responsible with that too. Now, I usually take an espresso every morning, which is about 2 ounces, which is about like 110 milligrams of caffeine. Now, when I'm at work, it can really just depend on what my next move is. Um, if I need to take caffeine, then I probably will at work. If I need to realize, oh, I need to save my caffeine intake for later on, then I'll do that too. In fact, there is this particular drink called the Magic Mind, and this is not sponsored by them, by the way, but they recently have come into my store, and they're kind of like it's like a mental clarity shot. Now, they have caffeine in them, which is either 55 or 165 milligrams. So, but the more important part about those particular shots is that they have healthy mushrooms inside of them, which helps give you energy in other ways too, like cordyceps, what was it, lion's mane, and all these other ones. Like, there's healthy mushrooms is something I definitely believe in. I'm a very holistics-based person. I have like, when I think about it, I have like 6 different oils and powders I take with my espresso. In the morning, I turn it into a shake, and then in the afternoon, when I get home from work, I take like 5 different vitamins just to make sure I keep my body up and afloat. To be honest, I need to get more joint vitamins like MSM and stuff like that, because I don't exactly have the best hips. My hips do hurt occasionally. I mean, I'm 28. I'm not exactly a spring chicken, and I got to make sure I take care of my body the best I can. But the most important part is ensuring that I take all these vitamins beforehand before I ever actually need them. Remember, they say that an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, and being able to take care of your body before any actual bad moments arise is one of the best ways to ensure that you just be proactive with yourself, health-wise, of course. Now, a lot of the stuff that I take also affects my mind in some proper way. I would like to believe that a lot of the stuff that I take does help me in order to ensure to like sift out all the scatterbrained thoughts that I typically have. So it's no secret to you all that I jump my ideas and my thoughts from left, right, center, here, there, everywhere. Like literally what I'm doing right now. I went from talking about going high to talking about holistic medicine to now just me talking about my scatterbrained thoughts. This is just the kind of person that I am. But the most important part is that, one, live streaming has reminded me that I need to follow some sort of sense of flow and motion, and I need to be able to carry it through. Now, the hardest part is that whenever I speak, I'm just speaking. Like, I legitimately just yap. Everything that I think of is just thinking of on the spot, which is kind of crazy when you think about it, but what can you do, you know? However, what I want to try to help take care of is ensure that I stay more concise, I make sure I close my thoughts, and ultimately make sure that I recall back the things that have been told to me. I actually feel like I've been doing a lot better at that. And at the same time too, I've also been experimenting, especially with the charity live stream, I've been experimenting a lot actually in just live streaming in general. Like being able to keep myself afloat, being able to like take proper deep breaths when necessary, because I talk so much, but I definitely don't breathe in enough. And I think that's one of the things that attests to me having like a lot of like, I would say like brain problems or like emotional problems per se. I know I exhibit myself really, really well in live streams, but sometimes I feel like I'm just escalating myself to a point of like a heightened state, and I can never bring myself down because I always feel like I'm just go, go, go. Sometimes it's a point. Oh man, what the heck, trackers? Don't be taking the show away from me. The trackers always do what they want to do. You know what I mean? But the most important part I'm coming to realize is that I feel like it's all just like a race. Like I need to get my information out there as soon as I can. Every single time that I mention it, I start to go slower and slower and slower. Or at least I remind myself to slow down. This is not a race. It's a marathon, not a race. And If I decide to try to get my every single thought that I want to get out there in the matter of like 10 seconds, then there really is no chance for me to actually recuperate myself. I'm just go, 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 but no, stop, stop, stop. This is also why I was mentioning when I start reading chat, you're probably gonna start hearing me take deep breaths, because deep breaths is what helps me realign myself and put myself back into a center of focus. Like what I'm kind of doing right now. This is all just experimental stuff. This is all just testing stuff. I'm always trying to figure out new ways to ensure that I can provide as great of consistency as possible, not just for myself, but for you all. A lot of the stuff that I try here, actually, I do try in real life as well. Because remember, my job is technically a grocery manager at a grocery store. And in particular, I work specifically in customer service. So I'm always talking to people. I'm always talking to associates. I'm always talking to just about everybody. Like, legitimately, between my community and between my job, I'm just a straight yapper through and through and through. Like, there's no way otherwise. So, oh, Kaisel's trying to join me. No, that's right. I gotta put myself in red. Sorry, Kaisel, but this is my video diary time. I put myself in red now. This is my video diary time. I want to make sure I can take the time for myself. And doing this stuff like this helps me just understand where I can be better for myself. Like understanding how to like realign my thoughts and make sure that I recall what I said before. Back then, I would really struggle to just be like, I would go on a massive trail of thought and I'd be like, what was I talking about again? So I'd like to say I'm very proud to be able to recall things that I was just talking about prior. Like, for example, I remember I was talking about how scatterbrained I am and how best I am trying to get better about it. Because ultimately, between my community and my job, all this stuff comes together, and I have to make sure I can be the best I can be. Remember, I try to be a leader figure every step of the way. So if you all want, if I want you all to copy something that's actually worthwhile copying, I need to make sure I look at myself from within and be able to handle myself in a better light each and every day. It is not an easy process. It is something that takes a lot of reflection, a lot of introspection, and overall just a lot of understanding about how the human mind works. I'm not going to say that I'm absolutely the best at psychology or understanding how the human mind works. This is why I do all of this. This video, making videos, making content, live streaming, communities, and overall like my job as well, which is interacting with customers and associates. Excuse me. I ate not too long ago. If you all don't know, I can't burp, but like right now the gas is kind of like going up there a bit, so it's making me hiccup internally. I'm just like, what? No. But whatever the case, all this stuff that I'm doing right now, even just this video diary, every single small little action that I take is me trying to get to a better solution to find about myself. One of the most important parts that I want to help establish to you all and to myself is that all of this is just literally kind of like my life. I want to be able to give a sense of positivity and give a sense of hope because that's the person that I want to be remembered as. Now, how long will I do this YouTube thing for? I hope I can do it for as long as I can. But let's be real here. I'm 28 years old, and if anything, even in 2 years, like my eyes could start getting worse, or maybe I can't be as active as I used to be, because there could be a bunch of other mental or physical problems that arise as well. If that's the case, then at the very least, I want to make sure that I make as much of an impression as I can. So hopefully, if I can, let's say, pivot to real life stuff, and I can just be more of a leader in that right as well. I'm the same person that you see me technically in real life than I am in the internet. There's really no distinction or difference. The only difference is the VR version is the feminine side, and the real life version is the masculine side. I remember I said in my last stream that one is more dominant than the other. I think, and someone said, are you saying a female can't be dominant? No, a female definitely can't be dominant. I'm saying that much. But my masculine side definitely takes a lot of like the assertive charge, while the feminine side takes a lot of the entertaining performance, like the giddy, happy-go-lucky, bright, hee-hee-ha-ha side. So they both come together to make who I am, and I perfectly accept who I am, because if I don't accept who I am, then how am I able to do stuff like this, or be able to be in this avatar, or be able to run a community with such confidence and assurance? Do I have all the confidence in the world? No. I honestly actually really doubt myself so many times. I always feel like whenever I make a decision, I always second guess myself. And sometimes when I'm just there in the community or when I'm there in the live stream and I feel like things are just even not going the slightest way that they should, like that the way I think they should go, my mind is just like everything's falling apart, everything's going to shit. I'm the worst leader ever. Everything's garbage, everything sucks. Nobody likes me. Everybody hates me. It's real. Like this, I have all these thoughts all the time, and if anything, they always kind of nag at the back of my mind, but I always want to make sure that I can stand taller than them. I can be better than them. I will say this, a lot of the times that where I can feel those negative thoughts crawling in the back of my head, trying to remind me, oh, you're not worth it. You know, you're not doing a good job. Or overall, just you're not a good leader. I feel like they speak for less longer than when they used to when back before I even started any of this. Because let me be real here, and I'm going to be very proud of myself in this. All of this random slandom, you know, going from 0 subscribers to, you know, about just over 800 to no Discord server to having about 135 plus to, oh, that's really the only 2 things I got. But overall, everything that I have established here, this my subscriber count, my ability to live stream, the community and the events that I run, the specialized moments where I take photos and people have actually had genuine great memories in VR chat. I take a heavy pride to that. And honestly, it's those things that help me keep going forward to remind me that this is all worth it. I will be honest, I was not really feeling well earlier today. I was just tired. And you know, yesterday I slept for like an hour and a half, and today I slept for like an hour. I really don't know what's with my lack of energy lately. But one, I will not reach for a high just to try to get a cheap energy, because highs do give me energy, but that's cheap energy, and I really don't want to deal with that. I want to actually have genuine energy for myself, and I always have the energy. It's just like willing energy, if that makes sense. And it's kind of hard to just try to like be like, I gotta go sit in front of a camera and I gotta figure out what to talk about and all this kind of stuff. My video diaries are scattered thoughts all over the place, and I'm sure many of you have come to realize this. Even myself, I'm just like, Roller, where are you going with this? How many things are you gonna say and how many things are you gonna talk about? But what I'm trying to get about is, when I was just laying in my bed, effectively doom scrolling and whatnot, as typically most anime girls do these days, as you know. When I was laying and sitting in my bed, doom scrolling, I came across this video that was about a 911 hopelessness response call, and I was just listening to it, and it was effectively, I shouldn't say that word, maybe I should blur this out. I'm gonna have to blur this word out, so remember, blur it out. But it was a 911 call with the hopelessness action, I will say. But just hearing the girl, like how helpless she sounded over her brother who has committed the final act. She sounded so hopeless. She sounded so scared, like she just wanted help, but she couldn't get it, because that's it. You don't come back from that. I wanted to cry, but also it reminded me that everything I do in this video, or excuse me, everything I do in this channel, everything I do with my community, is to help prevent people ever feeling like they need to resort to that solution. I know that's kind of sad to just say out of nowhere, but this is honestly one of my biggest motivators. It's the thing that makes me stand up and be like, I need to keep doing this, and I need to stay strong for every single one of you. I'm not going to say I have my highest moments or my best moments all the time, but I will say this, I have some comfort coming up, I suppose. I don't want to say it as a comfort, but unfortunately my stepdad's mother passed away, aka basically my grandmother. And so my stepdad has basically been in my life since I was 3, and he's more or less raised me more than my actual dad. And don't get me wrong, I love my actual dad, may he rest in peace, but my stepdad has really been the person that's been there to actually give me a sense of safety and comfort and support. So hearing that his mother died, the person that he called religiously every Sunday, and he would be on like an hour and a half conversation with her, I would never really think twice about it, but nowadays when you think about it and she's no longer with us here, you'd realize how much love that meant and how much commitment that was to his own mom. The mom herself did not really have a husband for the past like 50-ish years, which is unfortunate because she's effectively been a widow for a very long time. But she still lived her best life, she still enjoyed herself, and ultimately she had children that loved and revered her. So taking the ability to go up to New York, even if it's at a moment's notice, taking the ability to go up to New York and attending this funeral service to basically pay one final respect to her is the least I can do, along with my brother agreeing to that as well. So I unfortunately will not really be live streaming or anything. I might live stream. I might do a real life live stream in New York, but I don't really know what the details of that look like quite yet. Even if I even do it at all. Maybe I'll just do like a video. But whatever the case, I still want to make sure I can go pay respects. One of the most important things I actually thought about is I kind of want to actually do I want to speak at the funeral. Now, it feels like I'm kind of imposing by wanting to speak at the funeral because I really don't know who my grandmother exactly is. I've met her a couple times in New York. I've spoken to her a couple times, and she's also given us checks and gift cards and all this kind of stuff. So she's been there from afar. She's been there, but I really don't know who she really is as a person besides what my stepfather has told me in terms of lore and whatnot. So I don't really know what to go by, but the most important thing I would go by is actually this, what I just mentioned earlier, the matter of him calling his mom every single Sunday without fail, making sure he can get a hold of her, making sure he knows that he loves her. That great sense of family value, that moment to instill, hey, I love you very much, and even though we're far away, I'm still going to make sure I make my commitment to you. That's amazing. That's honestly extremely commendable, and if anything, that's what I want to touch upon. Because first off, I feel extremely confident these days in just speaking out to a random crowd. Because if you think about it, when I'm live streaming, I really am just speaking out to a random crowd. Anybody just joins in, and a bunch of random different people come along. So I'm no stranger to it at this point. I'm very comfortable with doing it. So if I had this capability within myself to be able to publicly speak almost wherever I want, I'm gonna make sure I can instill a positive message. And the positive message here is just love your family. Make sure you appreciate them. Make sure you cherish them. Make sure you enjoy them before it's too late. You never know. Tomorrow can mean that your loved one, your mother, your father, your brother, your sister, your everyone in between can be gone the next day. And that's sad. Life doesn't really have an itinerary. It can decide what it wants to do whenever it wants. And before you know it, people who are just trying to spread a message, people who are just trying to live their best life, people who are just trying to get by, they could be gone tomorrow. And for some people, maybe for their families, maybe for their friends, that could be everything. That could be the result of someone deciding to commit a final solution. Or that could be someone going impoverished because let's say that person was the breadwinner of the house and now they don't really have a way of properly affording their home anymore. Death is so scary and death is so inevitable. But, and I mean it's a big but, this is why every single step of the way, no matter what happens, no matter what situations arise within our own selves, we need to make sure the person in front of us, that family member, that friend, that loved one we've known, trusted, and cared for so long, give them a hug. Tell them you appreciate them. Let them know that ultimately it's going to be okay. Because at the very least tomorrow, if they will no longer be here with us, you can at least take the comfort in knowing at least I let them have one sense of positivity. What the heck? Oh my god. Okay, this is the one and only time that I'm actually going to re-stitch my videos because usually my video diaries, I don't like putting any editing work whatsoever, but unfortunately, I guess my Wi-Fi decided to crash and that was an unfortunate incident. However, that's besides the point. What I was trying to get about is the most important part is you have to be there for family. You never know, they could be gone tomorrow, and if a situation like that happens, then what did you do as your last message to them before they're gone fully? I always want to make sure the last message I give to just about anybody before I leave them is I hope you're well. Be safe. Take care, please. People need to make sure that they feel respected, loved, and valued, even to their bitter end, to their grave. So that's why I always try to help instill the sense of positivity whenever the moments matter, because you never know when you have that last chance to say goodbye to somebody. You just want to make sure that whatever you say as the final word is a positive one that they can take with them wherever they go in the afterlife, and know that someone did care for them. So who are you going to be to them? Are you going to be someone that just gives them the cold shoulder and just hopes that they'll be here tomorrow? Or are you going to be the person that gives them hope and makes them realize, hey, I hope you're well and I hope you stay safe? I think you all know the answer that I'm looking for. Where's my water? I need my water. Time for other matters. Trolls. So, in my last charity stream, I did have one troll that was very, very persistent. I kind of forgot their name. Their name started with a T or something like that. Whatever the case, it helped me learn a lot actually, because I came to the realization that there could be some persistent trolls. Now most trolls, for the most part, they say one thing and then they leave because they're so scared of being called out or whatever kind of stuff. But this troll was very, very feisty. They wanted to continuously go at it until eventually, like halfway through, they just started saying words. I was like, what are you saying? Like, what is going on? You literally have a thesaurus open and you're just trying your best to say some really big words just to make yourself sound smart. But by the end of the day, I'm just like, bro, okay, you're just embarrassing yourself at this point. You can cut the crap, buddy. But at the same time too, I kind of felt to myself, is it worth it really giving this much energy to someone that is just there to just effectively bring a negative vibe to everybody? So I actually put a poll, and from what I gather from the poll, I see that people are effectively saying if a troll does show up, then the best interest is to just kick and remove. Now, I do want to agree with that notion, but there's also an other side to this whole aspect. Trolls, by the end of the day, have a purpose why they want to do what they do. Now, if it's just absolute hate speech, that's a different story entirely. That's just someone who has utter hatred within their heart, and they want to find ways to make people basically stoop down to their level and hate the world just along with them. So including like, oh, well, making fun of me for being a male and a female avatar, they're going to just be like, oh, wow, this is ridiculous. Grown-ass man, by the way, which, these are very, like, simple insults, and ultimately the best way to counteract them is just to basically put it right in their face and be like, well, what have you done with your life? What have you done that's so accomplished and inspired that basically makes you come to me and be like, oh, wow, your life is basically worthless? But usually they never respond after that fact because they're usually embarrassed and they just run away. But this troll was rather persistent and was constantly just trying to say things to make themselves sound superior and smart. But overall, like, their argument was falling apart at the very seams. However, after like the 5th or 6th reply, I was reading it and I was like, what is this? What is this garbage? So at that point, where do I really take content from that, That's when I had to probably just draw the line and be like, yeah, okay, buddy, you're cut off. Goodbye. So I think I will be a lot more, I think I'll say this, going forward, I will be a lot more adamant in removing trolls if they continue to stay persistent. After a while, like after the 3rd or 4th reply and they just constantly just put themselves into a stupid rut, I'm going to be like, okay, yeah, you had your fun. Goodbye. If I give them any more attention past that, I'm technically making them win another way. Now, I mentioned the idea is like, oh, if I remove them, they're going to win. And not really, because I can decide the boundaries and the vibe of my own live stream. In reality, if I have one negative person, but I'm surrounded by like 12 or 13 positive people, then removing the one negative person honestly just does better for everybody, including myself. So there really should be no reason why I should be scared of removing people. My hardest part that I have for me personally is that even if I feel like these people don't deserve a sense of sympathy or joy, I still want to try to be there for them. And I think that's a fallacy of myself. I am way too nice to try to just let people go. But at the same time too, I have to really help establish a sense of leadership to you all and to remind you all that bullying is not okay. So if you have the opportunity to do so, at least on the internet, just block the person. Just ignore the person. Do not let that person get under your skin. Because once you do and you start feeding into it, all you're going to do is basically give them ammunition to use back against you. Troll behavior should be recognized right from the get-go. And once it's recognized, you just be like, yeah, nuh-uh, buddy. You're not going to get me with that. And in the case of real life, which is just typically bullying, if you're in school and you have someone that's being a bully to you, then it's probably in your best interest to go speak to a trusted parent or guardian that can help take care of those situations with you. You could try to confront the bully directly in front of you, but you have to be careful with stuff like that. That could lead to a lot of different situations where it could lead to physical issues where they might actually hurt you, or it could lead to emotional issues where they'll potentially just try to gaslight you, or just make your day a living hell by trying to find ways to worsen your life. Bullies exist for a reason. I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, there's no reason to bully whatsoever. Something in their life has made them come to the result of bullying other people. Maybe it's some sense of control over their own life. Maybe it's just having the ability to be like, yeah, you know, you're under my command. Haha, freak you. But we need to remember something. Bullies have a reason where they came from. Bullies have a reason why they are what they are. So, never just straight up look at a bully and just be like, this person's a terrible person and should, you know, not be around. There has to be reasons behind everything. And I want to be that kind of person that can help seek those deeper meaning reasons. Is it going to be tough? Yes, because bullies especially don't want people to try to come in and figure them out. They will keep themselves closed off on purpose so they can continue being the person that they are. But if you put a really good effort, you put a really good understanding to them, maybe, just maybe, you could find a chance to crack through that shell and be able to be like, okay, now we're finally starting to get an understanding. The troll that was in my charity live stream, I felt like I was potentially getting through to them, sort of, because even some of the things they said, I actually open up about a thing or two, like with my ex-VR girlfriend, and the real reasons why I broke up with her. I didn't ever explain that before, but I explained it in that live stream, so if anything, trolls can, in some weird way, also provide a sense of opening up for me as well. But I also kind of do that because I want to see, okay, how is the troll going to react to this? Honestly, if you take my deep and vulnerable thoughts, and you're just like, yeah, okay, whatever, or you try to throw them away, that's fine by me. I really don't care because I feel comfortable enough being vulnerable, but at the same time, too, flipping 180 to be like, yeah, okay, fuck you then. Yeah. But, and that's also why I like potentially leaning into these trolls. I like to see what they would do. I like to see what they would potentially try to go about in doing certain things. Now, one of my biggest fears of all time is just people potentially rallying with the troll against me. And if something like that happens, then I kind of have to figure out what I need to do in a matter like that. Don't get me wrong, I've always had this great innate fear that if someone has a lot more like influential power over me and decides to absolutely take over what my live stream or my chat is or whatever, what do I do in that situation? Do I have to what do I seriously do? Do I just kind of sit there and just watch, or do I just chill? Do I vibe, or what do I do? That's the thing. I'm always trying to figure out these new scenarios and situations that may come across with live streaming, and I want to make sure I can be my very best to ensure that I don't come across these problems ever. So this is just stuff that I'm still thinking about to this very day. I put it into this video diary to ensure that I can make sure I can review it and try to find better understanding and better knowledge to be able to be better at live streaming as a whole. On top of just being able to do live streams while not high, being able to follow more concise thought, being able to make sure I talk to chatters in a more concise tone too, but also being able to round up when I talk to them. When I respond to stuff in chat, I want to make sure that I can round everything off to make sure my reply is as satisfying as I can to you. I have seen some live streamers out there, when they respond to chat, sometimes they just kind of say, oh yeah, that's cool. Yeah, that's awesome. Oh no, I'm so sorry to hear that. I'm like, I want to give you reasons why you're in my live stream. I want to give you reasons to connect with me, the live streamer. That's why, if anything, that's why I put on slow modes in most of my live streams, because I want to be able to slow things down and talk to people, but I also don't want the live stream spammed. So I think at this point I may just do 30-second slow modes because I want to make sure that we can actually take time to sit there, discuss, and enjoy ourselves. But number two, I want to make sure that I make an entertaining and thrilling live stream. Not thrilling per se, but an entertaining and personable live stream. It's hard, and I've talked about this in my charity live stream. It is really difficult to try to be able to put on a really strong performing image. And I'm not necessarily saying that I'm so focused on doing that all the time. I can be whoever I want to be whenever I want. Like right here, right now, I don't feel my exact best, but I'm able to speak out and talk to you all like as if it's any other day. So, but I will admit that I need to slow down a bit because I still need to make sure that I have enough energy for an event, which is actually coming up really soon. So I want to make sure that I have some closing thoughts and everything that I'm thinking about. I will say one thing. I am starting to kind of tighten things how I look about it in the matter of respect to me. So I will say one thing for sure. If anybody decides to try to cut me off when they say something when I'm speaking, then you're gonna kind of get on my bad side. And I mean that sincerely. Like, I'm very, very conscious to ensure that I can close my thought in a rather decent package. Or at the very least, don't try to speak over me. You can just put your finger up, or you can just be like, like raise your hand or something like that. Then I'll start rounding up my thought and closing it out. But if you try to speak over me, all you're gonna do is just put me in a bad light. Not bad light, but you're gonna just make actually tick me off. I don't actually like being spoken over because I'm trying to follow a sense of flow as I speak. And if someone just decides they want to talk over and try to break my absolute flow, that can really throw me off entirely. When I speak and I'm saying my thoughts and sentences, it's all one flow. And trying to make sure that I can complete that flow the best I can is the best way to ensure I can provide the best possible message to every single one of you. If you decide to talk over me before that thought is done, then ultimately I'm going to have scattered brain thoughts and I'm just going to be like, well, where do I go from here? And if anything, I will also make sure that I read the room very carefully. I know I can yap for a very, very long period of time, but I also know at the same time too when I need to close my thought because someone may perhaps in front of me want to speak. So I want to ensure to you all that I'm trying to make sure I get a little more respect in that regard. But for the most part, I feel like everything's pretty good. I feel like I'm chilling. I don't really have much of anything to say, honestly, besides the things that I've already said. And this time, this video diary will be one of the few ones that I'll probably edit because I also said a bad word in the previous video, and also I had to recut to this video because the the Wi-Fi decided to be crazy. But I think at this point I need to stop because I need to be able to host my next event, which is going to be Audience Anarchy, and I'm very excited to do it. So for those of you who watch, I'm very happy that you're here. For those of you who don't watch, well, obviously you're not watching, so whatever, you know what I mean? But I always like to do at the end of these videos something for myself. And if I were to say anything for myself, Roller, just remember that you are still trying your best, and I appreciate you very much for trying to be there as much as you can. I know we haven't had the best energy lately, but I hope if anything, taking this moment of taking a couple days off of work, and maybe by extension off of community building, that we can be able to just relax, embrace ourselves, enjoy ourselves, and ultimately just be able to feel refreshed and recharged. I know I'm going towards a funeral, but I'm not working, I'm not doing community building stuff, I'm just kind of just relaxing. So remember, you're still doing a good thing, but also make sure you take care of yourself. Take your rest, make sure you take your time, and overall just be there for yourself. Don't ever feel like you're obligated to do anything, especially when it comes to this community building stuff. Remember, it's you first, and if you get burnt out, then you can't be there for anybody. Not for job, not for community, not for personal life, not for even for yourself. So be patient, take your time, please, please, please hear me out. I think that's all I got. So I gotta get ready for Audience Anarchy. I shall see you all later. Bye bye.